One league, 10 teams, no hubs. Could it work? Maybe. We went from the golden age of spring football to, well, who knows what the future of spring football will be. But here is my dream spring league. No hubs, and each team plays in 10 of these home cities.
The 2020 and 2023 crowds were enough to convince me that spring football will work, as always, in the gateway to the West. The 2023 XFL crowds tops in the leagues. More than 175,000 fans turned out for games, more than 100,000 more than San Antonio, which finished in second place in total fan turnout in the XFL. St. Louis is a no-brainer choice for this league, whatever we want to call it. Speaking of San Antonio, sign me up for the Alamo City for this league. As I mentioned, the XFL Brahmas finished with 74,000 fans attending games in the Alamo Dome. The city was so hungry for pro football, the Alliance of American Football's San Antonio Commanders led the troubled league in attendance with an average of more than 27,000 fans. San Antonio has a rich history of alt football. You can see all about that history in another video right here on my channel. Can you even have an alt football league without a team in Birmingham? Okay, yes, I know the XFL 2.0 and 3.0 did not, but XFL 1.0 did. And so did pretty much every other alternative football league. While the USFL's Birmingham Stallions had lower than anticipated crowds in its second season, I'm confident, maybe overconfident, that this spring league could find football fans in Birmingham. All throughout the XFL season, a lot of fans voiced their opinions about how San Diego deserved a franchise and other cities did not. Much like St. Louis, San Diego is a city jilted by the NFL, but still craves pro football. Even though the AAF's fleet, well, they were not very good, the crowds at the venue, once called Jack Murphy Stadium, were, by that league's standards anyway. San Diego has always struck me as a city with untapped potential as a destination for alt football. Yeah, Seattle already has the Seahawks, but what was interesting about the XFL in Seattle was that the community really embraced the XFL 2.0 team. An average of more than 25,000 fans attended the Dragons' 2 home games. That was second in the league. The XFL 3.0 Seattle Sea Dragons, well, they had less fan support, but some weird scheduling could have been to blame for that, like Thursday night games, there was an Easter Sunday game. However, the XFL was also embraced by the Seahawks themselves, which lent some credibility to alt football in the Emerald City. Give the Seattle team a good schedule, and maybe good fan support will follow. I never understood why there was really no spring football effort in Minneapolis. Now, before you say it's too cold, remember there are teams past and present that play and played fall football outdoors in Minneapolis. The average high temperature from March to July is nearly 67 degrees, so if a spring league chose to play outdoors, that would certainly work. The 73,000-seat US Bank Stadium, that's probably a little too large for a first-time alt football effort. Still, it has always seemed that Minneapolis is prime for an alt football league franchise. Home of the XFL North Division champion Defenders and, of course, the Beer Snake, DC has been home to one of the worst-run NFL franchises in recent history, and maybe that's why another league and team caught on in the nation's capital. In 2020, DC played 3 home games at Audi Field and averaged more than 16,000 fans. In 2023, DC averaged nearly the same. Washington, D.C. always felt like an underserved market for alt football, possibly because of the disaster known as the USFL's Washington Federals, which debuted in 1983 with more than 38,000 fans at RFK Stadium, but they faltered on the field and then faltered in the stands. Still, D.C. has been a proving ground for alt football and should have a home in any alt football league. Maybe I'm old school, but it always feels like if you're going to be taken seriously as a big-time league, you have to have a team in the Big Apple, or at least close by in New Jersey. New York has had its share of non-NFL franchises, including the 2020 XFL New York Guardians, which played 2 games at MetLife Field in front of more than 17,000 in the first game and then about 12,000 in the second one. Not great numbers in a city of more than 8 million, but the 2020 XFL never really had time to catch on. Another spring league team could find a foothold in New York. Staying in the Northeast, let's put a franchise in Philly. Philadelphia has a tremendous pro football history, including a USFL championship. It also has some infamy. Just Google the World Football League's Philadelphia Bell and find out why they had to hold a press conference in 1974 to apologize. Well, Pennsylvania is a football-crazy state and could very well embrace a team not named the Eagles or Steelers. I might take a hit for this one, but don't let extremely recent history cloud your judgment about the viability of spring football in Orlando. When the 2023 XFL Orlando Guardians kicked off, about 12,000 fans checked them out at Camping World Stadium. Now, as the season progressed and it was obvious that this team was going to be pretty awful, some of the announced attendance numbers were around 7,000. But remember this team?
Gilbert has time. Gilbert flushed out right. He's going to throw it back across his body with a flag down.
The Orlando Apollos of the 2019 Alliance of American Football. Head coach Steve Spurrier had this team playing like champions, which they were the de facto champs when the league folded. Spurrier even got them rings. The Apollos played at Spectrum Stadium in front of about 20,000 fans for each of the team's 3 home games. If you win, fans in Orlando will watch. Even if you market the team halfway competently, fans will come. Look at the 1985 Orlando Renegades of the USFL. Their worst attendance at what is now called Camping World Stadium was 21,000. And this team was not good. A few years later, the original XFL's Orlando Rage played there and averaged about 25,000 fans. No doubt Orlando deserves a spot in this dream spring league.
Those are my 10 choices. How about yours? Let me know in the comments. And hey, since we're dreaming, we might even come up with some expansion cities in a future video. If you like all football content, hit that subscribe button.